Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So for those of you who saw our original video with Case and his driver and saw the sort of gains he got in that, one thing you'll know is there's a lot of wedges in your future, Case. There's driving it that much further is going to totally change, I think, the way you play the game and obviously the opportunities you get from a scoring perspective. You know, medium-sized par fours are going to become not much to you now. Even larger par fours, to be honest. You know, hit it out there over 3, and you know your wedges from 125 and in are going to be really what counts in your game now. Proximity, consistency, etc., etc. You're playing some SM8s, 46, 50, 54,
and 58.
10, and 58, 10.
Yep.
How would you describe your wedge game and rate it in amongst the rest of your game?
Wedges have been good lately. You know, hitting green, most everything's kind of a wedge in, or a 9 or 8 iron. You don't really have too many high clubs, but you know, to hit greens, you got to have good wedges, and to score well, you got to get it within, you know, a makeable birdie putt.
Definitely.
So it's definitely something I try to focus on. Yeah,
when you see those proximity numbers on the PGA Tour of what they make from 12 feet versus what they make from 6 feet, it's like the difference every foot makes. Every foot we get closer to the hole makes such a massive, massive difference to your percentages and your opportunity to kind of turn what really is a par, you know, opportunity into a birdie opportunity. So we're going to really try and dial that in today. Were you fitted for these wedges, or
yes,
you
these were
Good.
fitted. And just a heads up, the 46, I believe, is bent to a 45.
Yes, it definitely is. So I had a little peek at what's going on with those. You are a pretty hard practicer by the looks of it. I mean, your 54 is pretty worn.
Yeah, well, they're pretty old clubs in terms of wedges. I mean, people replace wedges pretty commonly, especially when you play a lot of golf.
That's right, that's it for sure. And if you don't, you should. That's you know, was it title say 75 rounds?
75 rounds, yeah.
No, I think it's
a bit excessive.
Well, it is, it's maybe a luxury if you can.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you played 75 rounds already this year. So we're not even halfway through the year yet. So why don't we start off? We're going to look at your 54 first. I want to really kind of get into that one. You said it's about 110, 115. Let's take a little peek at that. What's going on with it?
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes indoors versus outdoors, from a aiming perspective, can be different.
Absolutely.
Looking at like your golf ball finishes in the same spot. I mean, it's right in there. So, you know, if your target, you'll probably aim slightly right your target with the wedges and sort of just hit little pulls back on line.
It just depends on the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do just a slight push. Sometimes it's a slight.
Yeah, whatever you've got on that day, as you say. Average spin rate on your 54, 12,125. So it's definitely high. So all things considered, tons of stopping power. Probably just, I think maybe just doesn't go as far as we need it to go to a degree. I think we're looking at it kind of going, you know, we probably could do with a little extra out of it. How adventurous do you get with your kind of flighting of wedge shots? Do you like to flight them up and down and do different things?
Yeah, I don't do it with 54 and 58, but when we get into like 50 and 45, are more my punch out clubs.
Definitely.
And so I'll do some like tricky shots with those.
Right, I love it. Let me just do one thing here. So you do your thing. So just hit a couple. Okay. Give you a little rain. Straight in, just lightly.
That was hit well.
The best way to think about this is, and kind of try and let people understand when they're trying different wedges, it's not about the perfect days, the perfect lies, the dry conditions, right? So, like, the police don't stop you to tell you your tires are shot because you can't drive with them in a nice kind of, nice sunny day. Tell you because if it rains and you try and stop and you've got no traction, you've got nothing to take moisture away from between the road and the tire, you're just going to go to plane. You're going to aquaplane right over the top of it. And that's kind of what's happening with club and ball when you get moisture and you get grooves that are worn like yours are. All that micro milling between the grooves is gone, and then the groove is shallower, so you don't have as much depth of groove to replace or to disperse the moisture, so you cannot get wedge and ball together. So you end up losing all the friction that was built up in those first few shots. So if we look at, again, where your spin was, this is dry, this is wet. Okay, launch angle, this is dry, this is wet.
I can feel it rolling up the face.
It's insane, isn't it? It's just like that slip right off the face, and up it goes. So,
You think that affect chipping?
yeah, oh, everything.
100%.
Everything.
Because when I had a hard time chipping, like I kept feeling things roll up the face when I was playing the Am.
Totally. And especially, like you said, weather conditions were bad. So we got to try and get you into something that doesn't do that. Okay, let's grab you some wedges to try. All right, let's take a look at we got some baseline numbers off your 58 as well, but we'll come to that in a second. Let's go back to the 54. Let's address that first. You definitely like to kind of get steep and a little bit, you can aim left and you get a little bit out to in your wedges, so you kind of get that effectively steeper angle of attack. We want to give you more bounce. One of the kind of maybe limitations in your wedge setup right now is you've got an 8-degree pitching wedge, a 10-degree gap wedge, a 10-degree sand wedge, and a 10-degree lob wedge. You don't have the versatility built in there to create different, or to have an answer for different scenarios. You've got lots of the same answer, so then it's up to you. So we want to kind of build in some grinds and some, change in sole performance that I think will really kind of start to give you different shot options around the course. I'm going to start with a 54D grind from Titleist. So let's try the glide wedges. Do you know much about the ping wedges?
No.
No, cool.
That one felt great. Sounds better at the gates.
It does, doesn't it? So starting to watch you get very comfortable with that wedge there. The line it's on is just immaculate. Like, it's just flying, very much down the line.
Dispersion's a lot tighter.
Yeah, standard deviation and spin, which we're really going for, is kind of under half. Yeah, really good stuff. I think the only thing I would change is I would definitely give Case's length back to the wedge, give him his half-inch back, and I think that makes up the little bit of a discrepancy on the speed. But I love what we're seeing from that one. Okay, let's do our little wet wedge test again.
Only thing about this one, I mean, I'm hitting it great. 'Cause it does look a lot different than normal.
A little what different shape-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt a little roll.
Okay. I think that was maybe a little more heavy than anything. So losing still a little bit of spin on that one, gaining a little bit of launch. I think either way, the wedges we go for, I think it will be a custom design in terms of like, if it's that one or that one. All wedge companies, all Cleveland, Titleist, and Ping all allow you to customize the grind and shape of the wedges. That's something I would really recommend doing, especially for you. I would imagine, or I would recommend getting some pre-worn leading edges put on them, just so that they are in the turf and straight back out, so you don't really get that deep divot. So you can kind of feel like you can be really aggressive down into it. Yeah, good strike, beauty.
Are you playing with loft and bounce? Is there a certain shape you're trying to create for him, or are you trying to look for a number to change? Or both?
Pretty much, if anything, a slightly left starting line just falling onto the flag.
Right, okay.
That would be it. So I just, when we started off with cases, wedges, we were obviously seeing that miss.
Yeah.
The long left one. So I wanted to eliminate that one. That was probably the first one that I wanted to take out. And then after that was building in other things like obviously spin retention on wet and different stuff like that. And just really this nice little neutral flight that we've got going on there. I mean, with you being a high spin player, 40, 45, 49, 53, 58 is kind of in my mind, what's kind of churning through my mind right now. And I kind of like you. I don't mind you having as much spin as you want with the 58. You should make that thing dance on a dime and do whatever you want with it. But I kind of feel like if we have a little bit of those stronger lofts into the pitch gap and sand, that will give you some slightly better control of your spin without it kind of like, early on there were a lot falling short, in that front kind of part of the green. We've kind of eliminated that a little bit by taking away the 12,500 spinner. So a little bit of turf interaction, a few different things going on there. But I think if we can manage all of those things nicely, and then we just let you loose with a 58 to do, whatever you want to do with it. That's kind of the way I'm kind of looking at it in my mind. All right, Case. We're going to work in some kind of partial swings now. I want to look at the 50-yard shot specifically. Let's see we're going to go with RTX 6 as well, bounce down a little bit, 3 degrees less bounce, and try and give you that spinner that I think is going to be useful with those little partials, right? Short-sided. So give me what feels like a little draw with this shot. A little
draw?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a little right to lefter. Okay, good. Now, kind of calibrate your swing speed and length now. Yeah.
Yep.
So ideally, this one should probably fly like 47 or 48 yards and then just release a couple.
There it is.
Did you hear the difference with that sound? Yeah. There we go. So there's kind of like, I don't want to call it the right amount of spin. There's no right amount, but there's the kind of neutral baseline of spin and launch. That was excellent. Love that. So nicely clipped. Come on. Oh, almost in the back door. Okay. Dynamic lie angle. It's still a little toe up. Okay, go the other way now. Go and hit me the little cut one. When I hit that little shot that you're hitting there, Case, I literally line up in the neck, he'll tell you. Like, I literally have it like the ball is right in the between the hosel and the heel.
Yeah, I try to move that one back just a touch, but not that much.
I'll sit the ball when I line it up there, knowing that I'm trying to pull across it. Like it is, the more you pull across it, the more friction you create going that way.
So you want me to hit one like that?
Yeah.
That's it. You're not gonna fall in love with that, but
well, so I would say it's conditions dependent as well, because this, you know, the part of the mat you're hitting off quite soft. The steeper you get in that, and the more you pull across it, like it's not going to be great, is it? So like if you're playing a really soft turf or wet turf, you're not going to start kind of trying to cut across it and stuff like that. You're going to try and kind of be a little more shallow and kind of pick it. So it's just giving you lots of different options. I think the firmer the turf, the more you can play that shot, and you know you'll get good success with it. Different types of grasses and stuff like that. But I think with the wedge selection going 45, 49, 53, 58 is going to give us a little bit more of a driven flight. Bring the spin window just down a little bit, a little more control. I think going flatter on your 58 is definitely helping. You know, take a little bit of that left side out as well. So I do like the balance of that, and then obviously the wet conditions as well.
The wet one was the first thing right out of the gates. You're like, okay, we're sticking with RTX.
Yeah.
It just maintains so much more spin.
Definitely. And with the tour rack ones, now we've got the kind of performance where we want it. I'll show you just here. Okay, so look back just behind you there. So with this type of wedge, this is called the RTX Tour Rack. We can literally pick for you. So there's the Hydro Zip. We were just seeing, you know, how they're performing so good in the wet. We would then go towards something that has more of a rounded leading edge. So really good for steeper players. So we want to just round that rather than having this, which is great for links or firm turf. And then we'll start to look at what do we want from the versatility of it. So we'd start building all of that into the specs of the club to make sure these are performing perfectly for you. That's kind of how we're going to get the best of it. Just turn whatever's in our minds into exactos on that club. So if you look at it right there, so you've got kind of standard soaks, custom grinds, leading edge. Those are the kind of main components that we want to kind of play with to get the wedges really dialed in for you. Okay. Any questions on any of the setup with the wedges?
No, I mean, everything you're saying is making sense.
Awesome. Okay. The good thing is, you know, we've got from 46 all the way up to 60. There's so many heads to play with here. That's where we were able to get the 5313 was like a weakened 50. So it was like a 50. I just grind that right off for you. Like you'd never even know that it's a 50-degree wedge because it's not anymore. It used to be. So that takes the offset out it. Obviously adds a little bit of that bounce, so you can play that little driven shot, and you know we're creating what the wedges you need for your specific game. Okay.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Case is dialed in. Wedges in driver. I don't know if you'll need an awful lot more than that. If you hit that driver as good as you did earlier, I think you might not need the 7 clubs in between. I think it could be a whole lot of drivers and wedges for you the rest of the year. Awesome.
I hope so.
Okay, guys, let us know what your sort of thoughts are. Love when we get a chance to dive deep into a wedge fit, you know, get into people's specifics of the way they like to play shots, all the different varieties of options. You know, we've tried Glide 4.0 there, we've tried SM9, we've tried RTX, and really what we needed was something that's not offered on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, Tour Rack is literally that. It's the ability to be treated like a tour player, get your clubs hand ground by the team at Cleveland Strixon out in Huntington Beach on the West Coast. And that's what Case needs in this situation. He needs wedges that are completely custom to him, to his delivery type, and the conditions he plays on. So that's where we know that he's going to get the very best sort of performance out of those.
Yeah, I'd like to see the 50 ground down when it's in his bag, because you know, for people watching right now, that's not a normal thing. You got to really, when you go quiet near the loft and line machine, you know something crazy's happening.
You're working away. Yeah, you're trying to create something.
It's unorthodox, but it's great.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's as many tools and tricks as you can have in your toolbox, and just the better it is and the easier it is to dial the players in. And with the amount of options we've got, obviously here and at all of our other stores, it just, it's, we think of the combinations in the tens of thousands. It probably goes more than that. When you start thinking of, any one club can be bent in multiple directions, the options that players have is wild.
Definitely.
It's great. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Stay tuned. We'll see you again soon.